Life presents us with countless doors. Some we try to force open, some we fear to approach, and others we barely notice. But true wisdom lies not in pushing against fate, but in trusting the process, acting with virtue, and embracing the path meant for us. Today, let's explore how Stoic principles guide us in letting God, or fate, open the right door. The Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control is one of the most powerful lessons in cultivating inner peace and resilience. At its core, it teaches that life is divided into two categories: things we can control and things we cannot. By understanding this distinction and focusing only on what lies within our power, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress, frustration, and disappointment. This principle, often emphasized by Epictetus, reminds us that true freedom comes not from changing external circumstances, but from mastering our own perceptions, decisions, and actions. In life, many situations feel as if they should be under our control, but upon closer examination, they are not. We cannot control the opinions of others, the decisions people make, the economy, the weather, or even the random events that shape our lives. What we can control, however, is our response to these events. For example, if someone insults us, we have no power over their words, but we have complete control over how we react. We can choose to take offense, allowing their words to disturb our peace, or we can maintain composure and remain unaffected. The choice is always ours, and that choice defines our level of tranquility. One of the greatest mistakes people make is investing emotional energy into things beyond their control. When we become too attached to outcomes, whether it's a job promotion, the success of a relationship, or the behavior of those around us, we set ourselves up for. If things do not go as we hoped, we experience disappointment, anger, or anxiety. But when we shift our focus to what we can control, our efforts, our discipline, and our perspective, we gain a sense of empowerment. Instead of worrying about whether we will get the promotion, we focus on doing our best work. Instead of stressing over a relationship outcome, we focus on being the best partner we can be. This mindset reduces anxiety and increases contentment because we are no longer at the mercy of external forces. This philosophy does not promote passivity or indifference. Rather, it encourages a deep engagement with life through rational action. The Stoics were not advocates of simply accepting life as it comes without effort. They believed in taking purposeful action within the realm of what is controllable. If we wish to succeed in any endeavor, we must work diligently, plan wisely, and act with integrity. But once we have done everything within our power, we must release attachment to the result. If success follows, we accept it with gratitude. If failure occurs, we accept it with grace, knowing that it was never fully in our hands to begin with. A powerful example of this principle can be seen in the life of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher. Despite ruling an empire plagued by wars, plagues, and betrayals, he maintained his inner peace by distinguishing between what he could control, his own thoughts and actions, and what he could not. He could not dictate the outcomes of battles or the actions of his enemies, but he could govern his own conduct with wisdom and virtue. This mindset allowed him to lead with clarity, fairness, and resilience, rather than being consumed by fear or frustration. Applying this principle in daily life leads to a profound sense of liberation. Imagine how much stress disappears when we stop worrying about other people's opinions or trying to control situations beyond our reach. Instead of fighting against reality, we align with it, accepting what we cannot change while fully applying ourselves to what we can. This approach fosters both peace and effectiveness, allowing us to navigate life's uncertainties with strength and wisdom. Ultimately, the dichotomy of control is about surrendering what was never ours to command, while taking full responsibility for what is. In doing so, we become unshaken by life's turbulence, grounded in the only true power we have, ourselves. Life is filled with unexpected twists, challenges, and events beyond our control. While many people resist difficulties, complain about setbacks, or wish things had turned out differently, the Stoic principle of Amor Fati, which means love of fate, teaches a radically different approach. Instead of merely accepting whatever happens, Amor Fati encourages us to embrace everything, both good and bad, as essential parts of our journey. This mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities, suffering into wisdom, and setbacks into stepping stones. To love one's fate means to see every event as necessary, as if it were designed specifically for our growth. When something difficult happens, we can either resist it, which leads to suffering, or we can welcome it, knowing that every experience contributes to our development. Imagine losing a job, facing betrayal, or experiencing personal failure. At first, these moments seem purely negative, but with time we often realize that they led us to something better, perhaps a new opportunity, a stronger sense of self, or deeper wisdom. The key is not just to accept life's events, but to actively embrace them as necessary for our personal evolution. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, embodied Amor Fati during his reign, which was marked by war, plague, and political challenges. Instead of lamenting his burdens, he chose to see them as part of his duty, writing in Meditations that what happens to us is what we were made for. He understood that every challenge was an opportunity to practice virtue, whether it was patience, courage, or resilience. This perspective not only strengthened him but also made him one of history's most respected leaders. By practicing Amor Fati, we shift from resisting reality to working in harmony with it. If we lose something or someone, rather than dwell in sorrow, we recognize the impermanence of life and use the experience to appreciate what remains. If a door closes, we do not mourn its loss, but instead look ahead with curiosity, trusting that life is leading us exactly where we need to be. This mindset frees us from bitterness, frustration, and regret, allowing us to live with gratitude and acceptance. Ultimately, Amor Fati is about trusting that everything happens for a reason, even when we cannot see it immediately. By loving our fate, we move through life with greater peace, resilience, and a deep appreciation for every moment, knowing that even the hardships are shaping us into who we are meant to become. Patience and timing are essential aspects of a well-lived life, yet they are often overlooked in a world that values speed, instant gratification, and immediate results. The Stoics understood that everything unfolds in its own time, and that forcing events to happen before their natural moment leads only to frustration and disappointment. Instead of rushing, they taught the importance of patience, trusting that life has its own rhythm and that things happen when they are meant to, not when we demand them to. Many of life's greatest rewards require time and persistence. A tree does not grow overnight, nor does a skilled craftsman master his art in a day. Likewise, success, wisdom, and personal growth come not from rushing, but from steady, deliberate effort. Impatience, on the other hand, often leads to poor decisions, anxiety, and unnecessary suffering. When we try to force something, a job, a relationship, or an opportunity, we are acting against the natural flow of events, and this resistance often backfires. Instead of achieving what we want, we may find ourselves even further from our goal. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, frequently reminded himself that the universe unfolds according to its own design, and it is our task to align with it rather than resist it. He understood that sometimes the best action is to wait, to observe, and to trust that the right moment will come. This does not mean passivity or inaction. Rather, it means taking the right steps while understanding that results take time. A farmer does not dig up his seeds every day to see if they are growing. He waters them, gives them sunlight, and waits patiently for nature to do its work. Patience is also a powerful tool in dealing with adversity. When faced with hardship, people often want immediate relief, but many struggles require endurance. The Stoics taught that instead of wishing difficulties away, we should see them as opportunities to develop resilience. When we recognize that challenges are temporary and that time has a way of resolving even the most difficult situations, we approach life with greater calm and stability. Action with integrity is one of the foundational principles of Stoicism. It means living in alignment with our values, doing what is right regardless of external pressures, and ensuring that our actions reflect the kind of person we strive to be. Integrity is not just about honesty. It is about consistency between our thoughts, words, and deeds. It is about making choices based on virtue rather than convenience, fear, or the desire for approval. The Stoics believe that true success is not measured by wealth, status, or recognition, but by the strength of one's character. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, reminded himself to act justly, truthfully, and with purpose, regardless of the circumstances. He knew that external events were beyond his control, but his actions were his own. No matter how others behaved, he remained committed to acting with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline, the four Stoic virtues. This is the essence of integrity, doing the right thing even when no one is watching, even when it is difficult, and even when it may not bring immediate rewards. Acting with integrity requires us to resist the temptation of short-term gains that compromise our values. In business, for example, cutting corners or deceiving others may seem like an easy way to get ahead, but in the long run it damages trust, reputation, and inner peace. In relationships, saying what people want to hear rather than the truth may create temporary harmony, but it leads to a lack of authenticity and deeper conflicts later. The Stoics taught that a life built on deception, dishonesty, or selfishness is ultimately unstable and unfulfilling. Integrity also means taking responsibility for our actions. When we make mistakes, as all humans do, the honorable path is to acknowledge them, learn from them, and make amends where possible. The Stoics believe that a person's character is revealed not by their mistakes, but by how they respond to them. Running from responsibility weakens us, while owning our actions strengthens us. Ultimately, acting with integrity brings both inner and outer stability. When we live according to our principles, we do not suffer from guilt, regret, or the anxiety of deception. We walk through life with confidence, knowing that we have stayed true to ourselves. Integrity is not always the easiest path, but it is the surest way to lasting respect, self-respect, and a deep sense of peace. Memento Mori, remember that you will die, is one of the most profound and transformative Stoic principles. At first, it may seem morbid or unsettling, but in reality it is a powerful tool for living fully and with purpose. The Stoics did not view death as something to fear, but as an inevitable part of life that should serve as a reminder to focus on what truly matters. By contemplating our mortality, we free ourselves from trivial concerns, procrastination, and distractions, allowing us to lead lives of virtue, meaning, and clarity. The awareness of death puts everything into perspective. Many people live as if they will never die, postponing their dreams, avoiding difficult conversations, and spending time on things that do not truly fulfill them. But when we remember that our time is limited, we begin to prioritize wisely. If we knew we had only a short time left, we would likely spend more moments with loved ones, express gratitude more often, and pursue our true passions without hesitation. The Stoics believed that we should live each day as if it were our last, not recklessly, but with purpose and integrity. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself in Meditations that life is fleeting and that he should not waste time on pettiness, anger, or external validation. Instead, he focused on being just, disciplined, and wise, knowing that his legacy would not be in how long he lived, but in how well he lived. These people knew what they said. Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, wrote that we should not think of death as something in the distant future, but as something that is happening continuously. Every day, every moment, we are moving closer to our final breath. This realization should not bring despair, but rather a sense of urgency to make the most of the time we have. Memento Mori also teaches us to face death with courage and acceptance. Many people fear death because they see it as an end, but the Stoics viewed it as a natural part of existence. They believed that fearing the inevitable is irrational and that accepting it brings peace. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, we should embrace life fully, knowing that each moment is precious. By remembering death, we learn to live better. We appreciate each sunrise, each conversation, and each opportunity to grow. We let go of grudges, ego, and superficial desires, focusing instead on what truly endures, our character, our actions, and the impact we leave behind. Acceptance and trust are essential components of a life guided by Stoic principles. In a world filled with uncertainty, setbacks, and challenges, many people struggle against reality, resisting what is beyond their control. This resistance leads to frustration, anxiety, and suffering. The Stoics, however, taught that peace comes not from controlling the external world, but from accepting it as it is and trusting that everything happens in accordance with a greater order, whether we call it fate, nature, or divine will. By embracing this mindset, we cultivate resilience, clarity, and an unshakable inner strength. Acceptance does not mean passivity or resignation. It does not mean we stop striving for excellence or seeking to improve ourselves and the world around us. Instead, it means understanding what is within our power and what is not. When we encounter hardships, unexpected changes, or disappointments, We often react with resistance, wishing things were different, complaining, or trying to force outcomes. But the Stoics remind us that these reactions are futile. Reality does not bend to our desires. The more we resist what is beyond our control, the more we suffer. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, constantly reminded himself that nature unfolds as it should, and that it is our duty to align ourselves with it rather than fight against it. When faced with obstacles, he did not see them as unfair burdens, but as necessary parts of his path. He accepted them, not with resignation, but with the understanding that they were opportunities to practice virtue, whether that be patience, courage, or wisdom. This is the essence of true acceptance, seeing every situation as a chance for growth rather than an inconvenience. Trust goes hand in hand with acceptance. When we accept life as it unfolds, we must also trust that it is leading us where we need to be. This trust is not blind optimism, but a deep confidence that whatever happens, whether we perceive it as good or bad, can be used for our benefit. Often, what seems like a setback in the moment turns out to be a redirection towards something better. A failed opportunity may lead to a greater one, a personal loss may deepen our resilience, and an unexpected challenge may reveal strengths we did not know we had. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote extensively about trusting the flow of life. He believed that when we cling too tightly to our expectations, we close ourselves off to the possibilities that fate presents to us. He urged us to trust that whatever happens is for our ultimate good, even if we cannot immediately see how. Life is unpredictable, and while we cannot control the external world, we can control how we interpret and respond to it. By trusting the process, we free ourselves from fear and anxiety, replacing them with a sense of peace and purpose. Another key aspect of acceptance and trust is letting go of the need for absolute certainty. Many people feel anxious because they want to predict and control every aspect of their lives, but the truth is, no one knows exactly what will happen tomorrow. The Stoics teach us to focus only on the present moment, doing our best with what we have and leaving the rest to the natural course of events. This mindset allows us to move forward with confidence, unburdened by the fear of the unknown. Ultimately, acceptance and trust are about surrendering to the flow of life while taking responsibility for our actions. It is about recognizing that while we do not control everything, we always control our perspective. When we embrace life as it is, without resistance or fear, we experience true freedom. We become unshaken by external events, grounded in the knowledge that every moment, no matter how difficult, is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to move forward with wisdom and strength.